Today we have Todd Zeller and Cindy O'Connell from Tierpoint to discuss high density colocation. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And we expanded out our presentation here to talk a little bit about high density colocation, but some other items that we sell as well. So I think that we wanted to just touch on a few things and high point them and say, hey, this is where you really want to focus on. No need to be a master of any of these items here. It's more just being able to drum up a conversation, pass it over to us, and bring us in to further qualify and sell and hopefully close and obviously expand after that. Looks like we've got Chris Villanueva on as well from Tier Point. So he's out of our Denver location there. All right. Did you know? This isn't working out. Claris is tied to the account, so not the opportunity. So whenever you're working with Tierpoint, the way that we work with you guys is we tag you to the account. Why that is beneficial is because you can see there the average Tierpoint client grows by 37%. So a lot of times we operate in like that crawl, walk, run, to where we've got a client that starts off with us. They just get a taste of what we can offer. Maybe they do like a cab of colocation. Maybe they do a few cabs of colocation. And then they start to come up for renewal and refresh on their gear. And they say, hey, Tierpoint, you guys are killing it on the colo. What else can you do? We don't want to own all these contracts. We don't want to have to juggle all these vendors from the servers to the storage to the firewalls, all of that. Just take care of it for us and put it all on that one easy to manage cloud. So with that, if it's a $10,000 colo, it could easily turn into a $100,000 cloud, and you're still tagged to it. So even if you're not the one finding the opportunity, if you're not the one bringing it to us, you originally brought us in, and we're going to reach out to you and say, hey, this is something that your commission is going to 10x. So next time we see each other, let's do a high five. Let's make sure that we celebrate that. This is something that we see with a lot of our clients. I've even got a client that I'm meeting with later today. I've got a partner that was kicked out of there, but they're still tagged because of the fact that they brought us in. The client doesn't even know that we're partnering with this company because they're upset with them, but that partner still gets paid by Tierpoint. We also do offer solution portability. So like I was mentioning, if they come in and they're doing co-location with us and then they want to move to the cloud, we can explore those options. And a Tierpoint dollar is a Tierpoint dollar. So we're able to shift within the contract over to other solutions and give them a lot of options within their contract. So it's a lot of flexibility and it really gives us a leg up on the competition once we get in there. Uh, One other thing too is we recently just launched our Adapt security product. I don't know if you all are getting into a lot of security conversations, but that is definitely a hot topic right now. So, ransomware is a very real thing. Companies are getting affected by that. And with our Adapt solution, it is a homegrown solution. We can put it on top of other security solutions and help kind of wrangle them, or really just be the only solution there. It is a MDR solution, so managed detection and response. So what we're able to do is just see if anything's happening in their environment that shouldn't be happening. We use AI to be able to run all of that information through our solution and tell our SOC team, our actual physical people, hey, something's happening here. Let's take a look into it and get that over to our clients. So on average, we're able to get that sorted out and found a lot faster than other security solutions. So it's been a real differentiator for us. All
And Todd, one
right.
thing to add to Adapt real quick, we had a channel webinar on Adapt. If anyone missed it, I have the call recording, but we've been closing those deals very quickly. So that's a great new revenue source and quick wins that you could add to your portfolio. So if anybody's interested in that, let me know, and I will get that sent out to everybody. And sorry, Todd, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I think that that's a great point. I mean, I've been with Your Point for coming up on 11 years now, and I bump into that quite a bit, where those security opportunities, they do move quick because usually it's going to be because of some sort of an incident. There could have been a ransomware incident, a phishing attack, something like that, that really kind of gave them that kick in the pants there to get moving. So yeah, if you see any of that with your clients and you're saying, hey, they got impacted by something, let us know. we're always able to pull in some folks and just talk through the solutions that we can help out. And once again, it's kind of that gateway product. We can get in there and we can further expand and get you paid even more. So co-location, that is a really big key to our solution set. It's a pillar product of ours. It's been really, really hot lately, especially with AI. So folks are looking at the ability to get their AI workloads into data centers because at their traditional data centers, they might not have enough power to get to power the equipment that they're looking for, or they might not have the other infrastructure around it. Let's say if they're pushing a lot of power into their data center, but their AC unit isn't up to snuff there. They could just have a data center that's going to be operating a lot hotter than you would like, which could just kill that equipment. So with that, they want to get into those enterprise level facilities for those AI workloads where we can offer that high density colocation. You can see here just a map of the data centers that we have. Those lines between them, that represents the inter-facility connectivity. So if we've got clients that are in 2, 3, 4 of our facilities, we do have the ability to connect. We have a 100 gig backbone there. So if they want to replicate that data, it's an inexpensive way for us to be able to connect there. Uh, we have over 40 data centers right now. We have over 800 IT professionals and about 6,000 clients right now as well. I would say that cloud was going really hot for a while, but just over the past year to 2 years, I've seen colo really turn back around, and folks are looking into that. Some of the challenges that we're facing, though, is just a lack of power in some of these facilities. So I would say that while you see this map here, if you're coming to us with a megawatt or more on a deal, it's probably not going to be something that we're going to be able to offer in every facility, but it could be something that we'd be able to offer up in some of these few facilities, and we've got that information. Tierpoint catalog. So these are just going to be really the pillar products that we offer here. So the first one being cloud services. We have multiple different flavors of cloud. So we've got the public cloud, so that's going to be like Azure and AWS. We have hosted private cloud, so that's going to be dedicated gear. So companies that have regulations in place or maybe just a larger environment, we would go out, purchase their hosts, we'd go out and purchase their storage, their firewalls, and it would be just like they would have it in their data center, but it would be in ours. Some of the advantages of that is, like I said, they don't have to deal with all of those different vendors. Also, if any of that equipment breaks, that's great. That's on us. We've got to replace that. Their monthly recurring doesn't go up. We just replace it, and they're continuing running. We also offer the multi-tenant cloud. So that's going to be resources that we already have in place, and they just come to us and say, I need X amount of CPU, X amount of RAM, X amount of storage. We can plug that in, and with that, they can easily grow over time. So it's that kind of pay per drink offering where as they're growing, they can continue to just add more resources to their environment and expand as needed. Uh, with that, we also offer disaster recovery. So having 40 plus data centers, it only makes sense for us to have disaster recovery. So we can do that in a multitude of different ways. We can do just, co-location out of region. We can do our cloud-based disaster recovery as a service. So using any of those clouds I mentioned above and setting up an environment to be able to fail over to. We also do backup as a service and Veeam Cloud Connect. Our security services, I touched on those a little bit. So XDR, MFA, compliance, firewall, antivirus, that MDR solution. We even have the email protection with Mimecast. So a lot of different flavors there. Data center services, so co-location, remote hands, network services. So being able to just set up that environment once they get into our data center. I've had a lot of clients that have moved in and they say, I'll probably be down here every week. And after a year, I'll go back to them and say, how often have you made it down there to the data center? They'll say once, maybe twice. It's a kind of a set it and forget it type of thing. They can reach out to us. We have those professionals on site that can help out. Applications. So really the big one I want to talk about on that is M365. That is one, Chris actually just won a really big deal on managed Microsoft 365, where if you have a client, and I'm assume that 90 to 95% of anybody's clients are going to be using Microsoft 365, if they are consuming that and just saying, I don't love the way I'm consuming it. If they're going through Microsoft and having to pay for additional support through Microsoft, or if they're going through a cloud service provider and they're not feeling, the warm and fuzzies about the support they're getting, we can always take a look at that. Our pricing is really simple. They get the same price going through us as if they'd be going through Microsoft. We just don't charge for support. So we have an entire team dedicated to that, and we're able to take those admin level tickets and work through them with them. We have about an 85% success rate on those tickets. And with that, that gives them the ability to get those tickets answered a lot quicker by knowledgeable staff. And once again, they're saving money by not having to pay for that support. Some of the managed services that we also offer. So we've got IBM power systems. So if you still have any clients that are on those I-Series or AIX, we can help out with that. That's something that I'm seeing quite a bit still, and a lot of the IBM staff is aging out. So we can come in and still support that. What's cool about this is that doesn't just have to be in our data center. If they have that IBM gear at their data center, and they're saying, hey, our IBM person's retired out, we're not ready to make that move to the cloud. The gear's still pretty fresh. Great. We can actually come in and plug into that and manage that for them remotely. So something unique there. We also do database management, so like SQL database management, and then help desk services. So we have an entire team dedicated to those help desk tickets. The thing that's kind of hugging everything around the bottom there is that advisory consulting. So we have a professional services team. I kind of like to think of them as like SEAL Team 6, that they come around and just make things easier. Whether it's moving to the cloud, we can help them with an assessment of understanding what needs to go to the cloud and how we can get there and really take that on and get that to the cloud for them and do that day two support. If they're moving in for co-location, I typically will always show what it costs to make that move through our team. Not a lot of companies are doing multiple data center moves, so that's something that is a fear for them. And if we could put it as another, item on our menu to show them, hey, it's going to cost you money, but you're not going to have to worry about it. It's going to be done right. They're going to bite at that, and it's going to put us in the driver's seat for those opportunities. So, like I said, there's really anything that they would come to us for, we're willing to have that conversation with them and show them what that would look like with a professional services team.
And one thing I wanted to point out at the bottom, we list our key technology partners. So we have a sell with model. So if you come across an opportunity, like let's say it's a backup opportunity and we're teaming up with Pure Storage, it does not affect your commission whatsoever. And we can include Pure Storage, for instance, with that opportunity. So everybody is kept whole. So, I mean, that includes Zerto, VMware, AWS, Fortinet, Dell. So anytime you come across opportunities, we're happy to partner. Sorry, Todd, go ahead.
No, that was great. Yeah, so this slide here, it's kind of the biggest eyesore, I would say, but it's also really helpful. I like this slide, not necessarily to go through today, but it's more of just if you pull something from this deck and maybe if you would want to print something out and put it on your desk, this is the one that makes sense. If you're on the phone with your client and they're saying, hey, you know what, I'm looking into some cloud offerings. Oh, well, have you thought about talking to Tierpoint? They do hosted private cloud, they do multi-tenant cloud, they do hybrid cloud, Azure, AWS, IBM. So it's just that easy thing for you to go and reference back. And if you're talking with those clients, say, yeah, they actually do that. Let me put you in touch with Todd. Let me put you in touch with Cindy. And what we like to do is utilize this slide once they start working with us, and then maybe even highlight things that they can go to. So if they start off with just that co-location, hey, that's great, but we think that you would make a lot of sense for hosted private cloud and some of our managed services. Let's take a look at some of those, and we can start to hit that 37% that I referenced earlier. Case studies and related verticals that we support. So I wanted to put these case studies in here. It just shows you that we work with all different types of verticals. So you can see healthcare, higher education, government, technology, manufacturing and supply chain, and financial services. So with that, I would say that we're not going to put you in a box. If they come to us and they're saying, hey, we're looking for a solution, we're able to work with them and build out the right solution for them. A case study that I want to talk about is going to be one more around the public cloud. I don't know if anybody's heard this from me before, but I've got a client based here in St. Louis that came to me and said, "Hey Todd, we're spending about 60K per month in Azure. We would like to cut that down. We have at Tierpoint, we have a free 2 week cost containment assessment. And what that does is it uses a tool called Cloud Checker, and it takes a look at their workloads and says, hey, you weren't actually using any of these workloads over this 2 weeks. You haven't used them for a long time. Shut them down. Let's bring those down. Let's save you some money there. Also, on these workloads, you're not using things like reservations where you can lock in a longer term and get a better deal. Let's look at that. Let's pull that trigger. So this client, we ran that cloud checker on their environment. We said, yeah, uh, you thought you're spending $60,000. You're actually spending $140,000, which, threw them back in their chair. Um, with that, we were able to get them signed up to our managed services and systematically bring them down to about $80,000 spend. So we saved them $60,000 of money that they didn't even really know that they were spending. I had a partner that brought me into this, and they were stuck on another opportunity as well. They said, I've been trying to sell this thing to them for about a year. They don't have the budget for it, but the fact that we found that $60,000 that they're spending every single month, they were able to spend that for that $30,000 op and then still save $30,000 on top of it. So it was a double win for my partner, a great win for us, and really a great win for the client as well. So what is the difference with the cloud here? So these are just some of the different clouds that we offer. I talked a little bit about them. Hosted private cloud, that's going to be in our data center. That's going to be dedicated gear. That's going to be for workloads that maybe aren't a good fit for the public cloud. The public cloud is going to be Azure and AWS. So really on either of those, that's going to be for their x86 environment. And we're able to take that step back and understand what their workloads are and what's going to be the best cloud for them moving forward. So the fact that we can offer all of these solutions, that's really attractive for those clients because once again, we're not trying to shove them down towards a private cloud or shove them down the path of public cloud. We really want to understand what does your environment need, where are you going with this, and let's get you in the right place, not only for today, but for the future. I talked a little bit about the IBM capabilities. We have those inside of our data center as well. The data centers that we have, the IBM capabilities, we can cross connect that into our hosted private cloud. We also have the ability to get up to the public cloud as well. So if we need to have those box chat, I'm sorry, have that environment chat with like their public cloud team, no problem there. So I talked a little bit about this, the cloud optimization assessment. So that's something that we've been doing for a lot of our clients. It's saving them about 10 to 30%. That's usually where I see the most amount of savings. With that, I would always ask that we try and find clients that are spending at least $15,000 per month in Azure. Um, the reason for that is, if they're spending $2,000 and we're saving them 10%, it's only 200 bucks. That's not really moving the needle for anybody. So we want to make sure that it's going to be something that makes sense. Once we run this report and we get that cloud cost assessment and our findings, we're going to go through those as a team with the client at the end of this assessment. They're able to take that report and do whatever they want. They can make those changes on their own. They can work with us. We can actually take that spend, put it underneath Tierpoint, add some management to it, and get all of that covered and continue running this cloud checker. So it acts as kind of that overwatch of, hey, let's make sure there's no more bloat that's going on in this environment so that they're not spending for stuff they don't actually need. So like I said, this has been a really great way for me uh, to knock down some doors, get into some accounts that I haven't been into before, let them know about our value. And it's almost that try before you buy. They say, oh, shoot, hey, Tierpoint's actually killing it with this. Let's continue working with them and see what else we can get.
And we actually have for compensation, you get a full compensation on the management piece, and then we have a 3% monthly. They said spiff, but now it is built in on all the consumption. So that's another way to get more revenue.
Yep. And to further Cindy's point too, a lot of times these clients, they're not going greenfield into Azure or AWS, they're already there. So it's already one of their biggest spends that they have. And they might not be happy with it. So it's that easy conversation. Hey, do you have Azure? Do you have AWS? How are you managing that? Are you happy with that? Do you think that you might have some bloat? Would it make sense to have that conversation with our team about where we could save some money? Typically, before we would dive into that assessment, we would just do a 30-minute call with the client and just ask them some questions of our own. And at that point, we can determine, hey, we think there's probably going to be some savings there for you, or it's probably not a great fit, but hey, you only spent 30 minutes with us, so you didn't really lose too much there. So how do we win together? So just asking questions. Once again, I think this is a good slide for any of the sellers just to be able to ask a few questions. We don't need you to be the master of any of these. It's more just asking questions, trying to uncover some of that pain and then bring us in. So talking a little bit about co-location, if they're buying equipment, hey, where's this equipment going? Do you have any plans to close the office? Like what are your plans for your data center? The cost, are you moving to more of that OpEx model? Do you want that monthly reoccurring, or do you want to have that CapEx where you're gonna have to pay everything up front? If you're in a hardware refresh, have you looked at other options besides, doing that traditional three-tier model and just building it out on premise? Have you looked at the cloud? Have you looked at the public cloud? Do you have an existing cloud footprint that we could help expand? Disaster recovery. What is your DR target environment? Are you looking at disaster recovery as a service option? Have you been hit with ransomware? Things like that. Backups, hardware licensing. Do you have an offsite backup target? Is restoring for backups part of your DR plan? And then just some custom solutions. Is there any area that you think your team could help use some help on there? So hypervisor management, storage management, network management, all things that we can talk about and just start to build into a solution. You know what, Cindy, I'll let you handle this one if that's all
Okay,
right.
sounds good. So how can we help you? So we used to use TechTarget. We just updated to a new marketing tool, Demand Base. I am able to upload lists into Demand Base and export lists. So basically, if you want some intel into what your prospects are researching or existing clients, we can get that to you. We're working with a company called Cloud First and getting some lead lists. So if you want to go after the x86, i-Series, AS400 legacy IBM, we're going to have a list of that. I also have email templates. We can do co-branded marketing material and a partner playbook. Now, what I am going to do for everybody after this call is we're going to build a digital sales room just for Claris and partners that will have all this information in one spot so we don't flood your inbox, but I will make sure that link gets out to everybody. We covered the free public cloud assessments for your clients, but that's a great way to reach out to your network, great way to get your foot in the door because everybody's using AWS and Azure. And then as far as next steps, if there's any additional product training, before I mentioned, we've got the ADAPT training from a webinar we just did, but we've got that call recording. Or if you want to get on with our engineering team, some hot topics right now are definitely around security, ransomware, choosing the right cloud. So anything that you need, the Tierpoint team is here to help you. So just let us know. And then I apologize, we only left a few minutes for Q&A. So does anybody have any questions or anything we can?
I saw some questions here in the chat. So it says, so Adapt can be sold as a bolt-on to what they already have in place. Is this accurate? Yes. So we can do that. We can also be standalone. So either option there, we're able to offer that. And then let's see, will Tierpoint conduct an initial security audit as a Trojan horse to get into an account? If yes, is there a charge for this initial audit? We would definitely do an audit. Yeah, I would say that would be something that we would probably wrap our professional services around. So there would be a cost there. I don't know if we would do necessarily a Trojan horse. That would be, we could always look into that. I guess we would have to understand what that looks like. If it's going to be more of like a phishing attack against like the end users, yeah, we could do that. Or if they're looking for more of something like trying to protect against ransomware, yeah, our professional services team, there's ways of doing either of those. We've got some security vendors as well that can help out with that.